So this is just a sit-down talk of some of the things I noticed along the way coming from Canada to the Philippines. In the Philippines right now, you may hear the dogs. And we're surrounded by dogs. One of the points I'll probably mention along the way. But moving from, or I should say, traveling from Canada to the Philippines, one of the things I noticed right away, at least just a difference that I noticed, in my home country, going from province to province on the airplane, it was very loud. People talking, chatting, the whole entire trip. Um, Going to Toronto area, it was just a noisy ride. People chatting and everything of that nature. I'm not saying it was bad or good or anything like that, just noticing how loud it was with the chatter. Then when we left Toronto, we took Korean Air, and that flight to me was a night and day difference. I noticed it was very quiet. The people were all quiet, very reserved, almost pretty much zero kind of talking. It was as quiet as can be. And I must say, I really like the traditional dress that the airline, both flight attendants, stewards, stewardesses, however you want to say it, guys and the girls were dressed in a traditional kind of Korean look. That was really cool too for me. But I really noticed the difference on the airplane being so quiet, no kind of chatter. I don't know if that was just my airplane, and but I took two different flights to get to the Philippines, and they both were with Korean Air, and they were both very quiet and I guess reserved people, maybe calm, quiet people. But I did notice that. And also on the flight, the Korean flight, Korean Air, at least I noticed, now I'm not a world traveler, so maybe it's the same all the time, I don't know, but they served really nice food. I thought nice beef, like a nice beef meal. It was a long flight from Canada to Korea before coming here to the Philippines, and they served two nice meals along with a nice snack as well. A lot of food. It was a lot of food, and I liked the food. There was a choice of like beef and fish and different things like that. I took the beef meal, very good. So highly recommend Korean Air and the travel with that flight. It was just really great, really great. Good food, nice service. Really enjoyed that part. Now another aspect of us traveling, I traveled with my son here, was that our baggage, I guess customs or somebody somebody got into our luggage and tore some very expensive things to pieces. Like my son had some nice headphones, and they were like cut with knives and just tore apart. And I had a razor, although it was not expensive, but it was broken to pieces. This was in the extra baggage that went on through, not the check-in that, of course, that I took with me on the plane, but went through. So when I got to the Philippines and opened up the luggage, and my son opened up his, we had things like shredded that was useless and had to basically throw away, including the expensive headphones and such. One of the aspects when I've been watching videos from North America, watching videos of people in the Philippines, they often talked about food, where to eat and what's the greatest and different things like that. Well, I just had a few experiences I thought I would share as well. It seemed like many people seem to recommend Jollibee, and this is no slight against Jollibee because it seems like a nice place and everything. A lot of people seem to love it. It was very crowded. But when I had it, I did like the French fries, I gotta say. And I'm not a person who likes French fries usually, so I really did like their French fries a lot. But I wasn't so keen on the other meal that I had there in Jollibee. So it's just my experience. So I know a lot of people like Jollibee, so don't get upset at me. Just my taste buds, wherever they are, did not enjoy Jollibee as much as what I hear people talk about Jollibee. Also, I tried KFC to see if it would compare to back home in North America. And the KFC I just did not like here. I really did not enjoy the KFC. I also tried the McDonald's to compare to back home just to see what it would be like. And I have to say, McDonald's to me seems identical. Identical. So if you're looking for something to adjust quickly when you move to the Philippines, I'd say McDonald's because it's the same in my opinion. Then we went out to a special, I say special because my beloved, beautiful Wella recommended it. It's called Mang Inasal, if I'm saying that right. And it was really, really great. Um, Kind of some noodle and their version of the chicken. Oh, it was fantastic. And some other things on the plate. And what I'm noticing in general is that the food, even this kind of eat out food, because we've been doing a fair amount of that while we're trying to get somewhat settled here, even the eat out fast food, so called, from where I live back in North America, it's still about half price. So, another aspect of my journey, when booking a place to stay, I used Airbnb and I got a condo at Seawind in Davao City. So that's where we are in the Davao City area. And it was a nice condo, but I think what I'm trying to say is prepare yourself for possible disappointment because the pictures that I booked were really fantastic. It seemed better than when I arrived. There was like a little, oh, this is the place. So you kind of got to have something in the back of your mind that you possibly could be slightly disappointed a little by how it actually looks according to the pictures you're looking at when you are trying to arrange for your stay here in the Philippines. So that's just something, I guess, not huge, but it was a little disappointment. It didn't look as great as the pictures looked, and that kind of thing. But it was nice. It was nice, and we enjoyed Seawind and the pool. It was nice too. So, and a nice laundry service in the neighborhood, so that was good too. That's how we did our laundry. So, something to consider. And then the next phase is trying to get a better place to rent and stay. And we've been looking at so many places since we were at the condo, trying to find a place long term. For us, in our budget range, we found it rather difficult because of the fact everyone wants, like most people want, like 2 or even 3 like down payments or deposits or a combination thereof, and it's like upwards to 100,000 Philippine pesos or more just to get started to get in the door. So it was really difficult, but we did find a nice Christian couple that they required 1 month down and 1 month of the rent, so that was more budget friendly for us. So that's something to keep in mind too if you're traveling here to the Philippines, at least from our experience, because it's not so easy from our experience to find getting into the door of a place to stay for relatively inexpensive. And then the monthly fee, I guess, can be fairly inexpensive, but they want so many payments up front that it makes it almost unbearable. So you have to be very careful trying to find a good combination there that you're happy with. And as I've already mentioned, depending on what your tolerance level is for barking dogs and roosters and such, you might want to really be very careful about the areas you pick. Now, like I said, we were finding it rather difficult to try to find a budget-friendly place and we wanted to stay in the city area because of the internet connection, the good internet connection. So that's why we're kind of linked here in Davao, trying to stay here, at least for now. because of the internet. It's good stability in the internet where we are, and I can confirm that we're getting about, I think, 200 megabits per second, and it's pretty consistent. No power outages, things like that, because it's a main city area, Davao is. So that's something to consider. But also, if you're doing any kind of remote or online work, the dogs could possibly be a problem, or the roosters. We have them in this subdivision neighborhood. They're very loud, and I mean very loud. And sometimes it's like someone just screaming, but it's a dog, and pack of dogs or something, and they're everywhere in stereo sound. So I am not kidding you. So you don't always realize that when you're getting the place. So if you can put up with that, I think we can. So we're going to be okay. We can manage it. The other part of our journey is getting around. So we have been mainly using taxi services, the white taxis. And I basically leave it up to my Filipina to do all the talking and discussion, and she has all the money to take care of it all. So she knows how to tip or not to tip, kind of thing, depending on the situation and the driver and so on, and where we're going and how much effort they put in and so on. So she takes care of that, and she's really good at it, and I trust her wholeheartedly. Of course, she is so wonderful, which is a whole nother video, how wonderful she really is. She's more wonderful here in person than I knew her online, and I thought I knew her well, which I think I did, but in person she's even more wonderful. And that's a whole nother video, which I hope I can make soon. So yeah, with the taxis, I was asking her yesterday, my beautiful what's a kind of an average price in the taxi? She said maybe about 300 Philippine pesos. So again, you can translate that into your own money to get a kind of an idea of an average trip in a taxi that we've been doing anyway, for about maybe 300 Philippine pesos. If you think that's good or not, you could put it in the comments. Now, we've been driving a lot in the taxis, and sometimes hour drives and everything. And sometimes obviously they're higher than other times, depending on the ride. But that's something, I guess, to go by to give you an idea. Now, we also, for comparison, took a bus ride very close to the home we're renting to the nearest SM Mall, which is like a really cool mall, by the way, in Davao, where we are. And that bus ride was only from our basic doorstep to the doorstep of the mall, like 60 Philippine pesos, 60, which is next to nothing. So that's the way to go if you can do it. Of course, you have the option of the jeepneys and these other bicycle trike things if you want to try those, which I haven't done yet because I'm kind of a bigger guy and I don't think I fit too well in some of those. So it's not a slight against these transportation methods. It's just that I think I'm kind of big and cramped. If you ever seen these jeepneys, the people are shoulder to shoulder and it's a very tight fit, and they're usually smaller people. So I don't think I would be too comfortable on a longer trip. So that's just a word to the wise if you're a big guy traveling. So something to consider there with transportation. If you can use the bus, wow. And the bus, I gotta say, I really like the bus. It's air conditioned, cool, comfortable, really nice. I almost fell asleep on the ride into town. It was so good. So that's something with transportation. So we are planning on extending our stay here in the Philippines, myself and my son. So I did notice and watch many videos of foreigners extending their immigration stay or applying for immigration extension. And it was interesting and informative. They always went to the building where to do it, and they gave their advice, which I found good. In watching another video, I found that you can do it online, and that is my suggestion. It was a very easy process. I just logged online to the Philippine website, and they always say make sure it is the actual Philippine government website, and it's called the visa waiver for the first time. You click on the visa waiver and go through the process. It takes very short time, just some basic information. Now, you do have to wait for your result. You can and do pay online as well. I think it's somewhere around just over 3,000 Philippine pesos. You can do the conversion in your money. So my son was granted his the next morning. Like I applied in the evening, and when we woke up in the morning, he got an email confirmation that his extension was approved for another month. I'm still waiting on mine, but it's the weekend, so from what I understand, they don't do anything with that on the weekend, so it takes technically so many business days to get approved if you get approved. So I'm still waiting on my approval, but my son was approved like pretty much immediately. So, but my suggestion is to do it online. And I've saved the big one to last for me. Maybe it's not a big one for other people, but for me, is like back home, I was always used to having my internet cell phone plan with Virgin Mobile, and just pay so much a month, and I had a really good deal with them, and then of course use your phone accordingly. Here I still don't have phone coverage. It's not as easy as you think. We bought these 5G cards, and we started filling them out, but there's so many requirements of registration, it got a little confusing for me and my son, so we just stopped it. For the time being, we've not really had a chance to go back and look into it. It seems fairly complicated, but there's another alternative that you also may want to consider if you're coming into the Philippines. This actually has worked very nicely for me. The only thing is, it's working on my iPad mini, which is not as convenient for me because I don't always take that. But if you have a phone with an eSIM, or a phone that has eSIM capability, if you're not sure what that is, research your phone, find out, does my phone have eSIM capability? Put the model of your phone. Very, very important in my opinion. Find out if your phone has eSIM capability. Once you find out that your phone does have eSIM capability, you're set in my opinion, because this is a very good option I'm about to tell you that I do not hear anyone really talking about. At least I have not heard it, but it would really save you for having cell phone coverage as you come here to visit. You need to get an app. Once you have eSIM capability on your phone, you need to get an app called Air Aldo. AIRALDO. Air Aldo. Okay, get that app. And that app allows you to get like a cell phone plan anywhere in the world. Now, it will be a little bit more than if you actually got a typical cell phone load plan, what they call here in the Philippines. The Air Aldo would be a little bit more, but in my opinion, until you can really get settled into this culture here with the Philippines, the Air Aldo is a lifesaver. In fact, you can set it up now while you're not in the Philippines. Like when I was in North America, I had it already set up. And what it does, I had the Philippines picked, because you can pick different regions of the world. I picked the Philippines, local Philippines, in their app, Air Aldo. So when I paid for it, I chose the plan that I wanted to get started. So then as soon as I reached the Philippines, it activated. It's seen the towers, it knows where the towers are, and it was activated. So as soon as your feet hit the ground, when you step off the plane, you have cell phone coverage in the Philippines. Local cell phone coverage in the Philippines. It's fantastic. You're just paying a little bit more, but it's worth it. And it's not that much more. I say a little bit more, I mean just a little bit more. And it's really worth it. So, but you have to have the eSIM. If you don't have eSIM, I would suggest buying even a cheap eSIM phone just for the purpose of having it, because my phones are not eSIM and I'm still without the cell phone coverage unless I take my iPad. So get an eSIM phone and get the Air Aldo and set up a plan for the local Philippines on it. And the good thing about it is that if you travel to one of the other neighboring countries, you can then, choose another country with Air Aldo and get the cell phone coverage in that place. So then when you land, you again have cell phone coverage. So if you do any kind of traveling, just get Air Aldo, choose a plan in the country where you're going, even in your own country, if you needed to get it through them. Although, again, it may be just a little bit more. But in a general sense, Air Aldo, fantastic for coming to the Philippines to have cell phone coverage. Highly, highly, highly recommended. And I've not heard others talk about it, so that's a special feature for today's video. Hopefully very helpful to you. One more afterthought I had with the phone as well. This relating to the phone as well. I had a free number back home in North America that I was using called TextMe, a TextMe number. And it was very convenient for me. And I thought when I got over here, I could just use a VPN like ExpressVPN or NordVPN, and I could still get it to work. But be prepared. The VPNs don't always work. Now, I am going to try to get a VPN router to see if that makes a difference, but the actual VPN apps don't necessarily work because I have the TextMe number, which I get security numbers coming to me, for bank information and things like that, and I can't access it. Even with a VPN, I cannot access it. And I've tried using some of the better VPNs. I even contacted them, and they always have an excuse. Oh, maybe they have a VPN blocker, surprise, surprise, against that app or something. So that's what their answer basically was to me. So I cannot even use my home phone number and retrieve my security codes the same. So keep that in mind. Not even a VPN is helpful sometimes. So just a note, a word to the wise. One more thing, a little extra bonus. It has helped me, just something that has helped me. Maybe you're more versed in it, so it may or may not help you as much. But there's an app again. This app is called Currency Plus. This app is called Currency Plus. And what it is, it shows many of the different currencies of the world. So you put in the currency that you're most used to, and then it converts to, like, for example, in my case, the Philippines, it converts to and shows you the Philippines currency. And it's just an app that I go to all the time on my phone. Now, I know there's different ways to do this, of course, but the app I find very convenient because it shows all the different currencies. Sometimes I want to see Canadian, US, and Philippines currency all at the same time, and it does that. It shows all at the same time. Maybe you have like Australian, United States, as well as Canada and the Philippines. You may want to see all at the same time, or other currencies of the world, UK, and so on. And it's all right there, all at the same time. You just type in one number, like, for instance, if I pay for something here, 400 pesos, I'll put in the Philippine 400 pesos, then it shows me the Canadian equivalency, the US equivalency, and so on. I find it extremely helpful because I can't always remember the exact amounts in the conversion. So I'm always going to it. It's a real go-to app. So an extra bonus if that can help you as well. It certainly helps me almost every day. So thanks for tuning into the video. Hopefully next time I'll have more of beautiful Wella in the video. And wow, maybe I should just do that for my next, or one of the next upcoming videos. Talk about how much better it is in person with my beautiful Wella than even I realized, because she is such a wonderful person. Well, thanks for tuning in. See you next time.